Welcome back everyone to Modded Minecraft 1.7, episode 30, where I'm going to go around my world and take a look at everything I've done and kind of recap over this particular series. It's just something I like to do. So, the Modded Minecraft 1.7 series first started, I don't know when, I'm talking about the original Season 1. It was shortly after some of the first mods had come out for 1.7.2, and I updated my mod, the only mod I had at the time, Silence Gems, up to that version of Minecraft, and started playing on it. And I was really unsure about it because there was so few mods, and a lot of them were kind of unstable. And yet, the first season ended up being 36 episodes. And that's my longest series yet. This is rapidly approaching that number, and I expect it to exceed it easily. So, this Season 2, I kind of regret dividing them up into seasons in a way. It didn't really make that much sense from a logical standpoint. I guess it kind of does. But I started after updating to Minecraft 1.7.10 because some mods did not update to 1.7.10 for a long time, notably Thaumcraft, so I decided instead of just letting a bunch of stuff in my world break, I would just start a new world. And this is actually not that world. This world was started in episode 8. Early on in the season, I had a lot of issues. Most of them never showed up in video, but there were a lot of issues, significantly more than there was with Season 1. Minecraft 1.7.10 is quite a mess. You might be able to tell my frame rate right now is very low, and if we could get rid of rain, that would be kind of helpful. I might cheat it off since it... is that... Let's see if we can sleep. It's probably too late. Nope. Just barely. Okay, so I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit. So, one thing I'm going to do is, if you will look up here, I'm going to show clips of the previous videos. There won't be any audio to them, and they'll just be kind of up in the corner. Probably going to put them in the upper left. And I'm going to be showing some of my first world. This is the second world. And I abandoned it because, mostly because the mod list changed a lot, partially because I wanted to discard Biomes of Plenty. I just can never find a good place to set up in a Biomes of Plenty world. I don't know why that is. So, first world was pretty rocky. I did have the localized weather mod at the time, which I unfortunately had to discard. Hopefully it'll make a comeback. But my current computer is just not powerful enough to handle this mod pack properly. In fact, I've even got this running on a server. I'm renting a pretty cheap server right now just because my current computer can't handle running this world and recording at the same time. In fact, it can just barely stand what I'm doing right now. So we played in that world 7 episodes, and I ended up trying to build a house, and it was so ugly when I was done. And you could probably see it up there in the corner right now, depending on how I edited things. Yeah, I absolutely hated it. I was actually just rewatching the first 10 episodes yesterday to kind of refresh my memory on what all happened. Alright, so let's go ahead and start exploring this world a little bit, see what I've done. I did not record a lot of my initial setup, because it was in the middle of Season 2, so I didn't want to start over on Episode 8 completely. So I played a lot off camera. I don't remember where I spawned. I think it was somewhere around here. And this whole area is forest. All this area I've cleared. I cut down all the trees in this area. And look, it's just nothing but trees. Well, there's a plains biome. down there, some stuff over here, but mostly my world is just forest. It's really irritating. There was a roguelike dungeon here. You might be able to see some remnants of it here. I don't know how well you can see. I thought maybe it was partially responsible for my horrible frame rate, so I quarried it, and I still haven't filled it in. So, where I first set up is over here. I dug into the wall right here, seemed like a pretty good spot. I had a bunch of chests where that nether portal is now. Most stuff I just left alone. Didn't really seem necessary to mess with it. And had to do a bit of branch mining. I have a lot of trouble finding good caves in this world. Other than that, I don't think there's much to show in here. Got some mead and wine in here. So this is my farm. It was originally, well, in my last world and in this one, I originally had it so that I had 3 of each Harvestcraft crop. And I kept it that way for a long time, harvested them by hand. It was very time consuming. I didn't have hunger overhaul at the time, so there was no right click to harvest. You had to actually break them, plant them again. It was just very time consuming, where now I could just do this. And for a while I had golems harvesting these farms, which is what, for example, the chests in the middle here are, and why they are no longer organized in any discernible pattern, because the golems just do whatever the heck they want. And I got tons of crops just from letting those golems go for a while, and the noises from the Growthcraft bees over here. Got Growthcraft grapes and hops. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Don't know what happened to this one. Over here I've got some golems that are supposedly harvesting ender lilies, but some of the ender lilies are vanishing. I don't know why. It's very strange. I had a chunk loader or a world anchor there for a while, and I've got, I think, 300 or 400 ender pearls right now just from that. I haven't even gone to the end yet. So over here is the pet graveyard. It only has 4 pets in it. One of them didn't even get named. All of these were killed in the roguelike dungeon. Let's see, Larry, I think, was the first or second I made. And he was the first to die, of course. And I've had Larry, the sheep, in several of my Minecraft Let's Plays. He's a pink sheep who believes he's a pig. There's a story behind that, but I won't tell it right now. Peterson, he first made an appearance in Season 1, and he was originally just a regular wolf, but now he is a pet's dog. So I don't know if I've ever shown, or how recently I've shown the pets mod. I'll just select it. What you do is you craft these summoners for different animals, and they work just like tamed wolves and ocelots. They will follow you around, help you attack enemies, and you just craft the summoner. And the pet wand can be used to give them some more advanced commands, like tell them to not make any noise, for example, and you can also give them armor. So that's very helpful. It helped them last a lot longer than they would have otherwise. Chicken? These chickens, they're like cockroaches. As soon as you kill one, 10 more appear out of nowhere. Whoa. I can't control my mouse right now. It's just going bonkers for some reason. I guess because of the bad frame rate. Something about my mouse, it just, whenever my computer's under load, it just starts misbehaving for no apparent reason. Okay, so my base, it is Not very pretty on the outside. I built it for function for the most part, aside from its weird shape. If it was purely function, I would have just made a big box, but I kind of intended at the time and totally forgot to maybe decorate the exterior later. And yes, there is a reason why there is wheat in the front. I was messing around with something, and it planted wheat along the outside of my house. This chest, it doesn't even need to be here anymore. Why do you even exist? I forget. So I can't remember if I mentioned that we have Hunger Overhaul now. I had to actually cut out one clip because I really messed up. That's how my day's been going. Okay, so this space, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and we do have a couple of pets in here. We've got Tiny the cow, who's... the cows are supposed to have 24 health, but for some reason some of the pets, their health is wrong. I don't know why. I haven't been able to figure that out. In my development environment, they have the correct health, so that's why it's confusing. So I guess we'll start over here. I've just got a machine room with a variety of different machines that I kind of use every once in a while. Since I'm starting to get stuff more automated, this room doesn't get used as often. I did actually just fill this barrel with cobblestone last night, I believe. And I currently do have this area under a world anchor, as well as something else I'm going to show later. Here is kind of a bedroom slash magic room. Got a little table here. I was kind of experimenting with these dinner plates. You can actually eat off of them. And I was kind of wondering if maybe that overrode the spice of life, what do you call it, to where it reduces the nutritional value of food you've eaten recently, but it does reduce the chance. As you can see, it says I've eaten fish once. I had not eaten it recently before eating it off that plate. So I've got a couple armor stands, haven't used those in a long time. Haven't done any Thaumcraft in a long time. I really need to get back into that. This is probably the least used room. I was originally going to put some forestry machines in here. As you can see, I've actually got an energy and item conduit line down here. But they draw power constantly, and a lot of power too, so I just ditched the ideal of having the setup for now. I've kind of gotten... I never get very far with bees anyway. I was also experimenting with the Open Computers mod a little bit. And at the time, hooking it up to Rednet cable was not a good idea. It actually crashed my game and I had to MC edit it to get back into the world. This room is mostly empty aside from a magnum torch and a back door that I used to get out to the tree farm a little bit easier, but I don't use that very often anymore. Finally, we've got the storage room. Originally, this had a bunch of diamond sorting chests from the Refined Relocation mod, as I'm probably showing up in the corner now. It's a pretty good way to get started with an automatic sorting system. It's pretty simple to set up, but not really extremely customizable to the extent that I would want, really, but good enough. Now, of course, Applied Energistics has taken over this room. I've got a wireless access point here, but the terminals, they just don't work. And maybe I can show that really quickly here. I don't know if this is just a multiplayer bug. I haven't tested this in single player. But as you can see, it just pops up the GUI and then it vanishes. So it's unusable, unfortunately. And that thing draws a lot of power, so I just left it disconnected. Actually, you belong in here. So I've got a couple of deep storage units, got dirt and or cobble and dirt. Cobblestone, I've got a cobblestone generator, which would explain why I have 103 million cobblestone and climbing. This gravel barrel, I think, is upgraded. That was the clock. This gravel barrel should be upgraded to void any excess cobblestone. That's originally what I had with the dirt, but I was having a weird glitch with the barrels for a little while where they were flashing violently, and I removed them for a little bit. But they're all better now. I don't know what fixed them. I think it was a blue screen that I had. I had a blue screen and the problem was gone. So, very strange. So, we have Flans mod, which is something that was a relatively recent addition. I kind of wanted to experiment with it a little bit, since my first experience with it was on the Modsauce server that I release videos on occasionally, and they are absolutely worthless on there. I think it's because we use Creeper Host. Okay, so I think that's really all there is. Got one of these fancy customizable paintings from Bibliocraft. Those are really cool. So, this is not all of my base. I've got an elevator here. Haha! It's even more crazy stuff down here. So this floor, I did not put any walls in. I didn't have any specific plans for this, so I just left it all open. I've got all kinds of crazy AE2 or automation down here. I can't talk today. I should just go jump in a lake. Something. I give up. No, I'm kidding. So a lot of stuff I've done over here is new since the last time I recorded. I've got 2 crafting CPUs, or whatever the heck they're called now. I barely understand how they work. I've got one with a lot of storage and 2 of the coprocessors, one with just a little bit of storage and 1 coprocessor. And the only reason I have these divided into 2 is so that I can have 2 crafting operations going on at once. Here I've got a sag mill and an alloy smelter. These have interfaces on them, so I can automatically craft some stuff. Unfortunately, the alloy smelter makes this quite clear glass, which can be used in place of glass in a lot of places, but not for everything. And here's the cobble generator down here. This generates quite a lot of cobblestone. I don't think I really need it anymore. Here is something that I have set up in a video. This is the automatic resupply chest. This ender chest will keep a certain number of items stocked, and I can access it with this ender pouch as well. And I can also put anything I don't want in it. So the way this works is I have an interface exporting the items. Then I've got these translocators. This is a mod made by Chicken Bones, and it's set to resupply the same items. So you have to put them in 2 different places, but it works. And the redstone clock is what makes it so that it can pull out any excess items. So for example, if I were to put extra cobblestone in, it would pull out the extra so that there's only 1 stack in there. These are the molecular assemblers. They're another part of the auto crafting system. They require interfaces to store the patterns, and you need either a full-size interface or a cable connected directly to it to power it. So I've got my aiming controller in the center of the room, which is a little bit unnecessary at the moment because I've got everything on that side of the room, but I'm sure I will need to expand it to these other 2 corners eventually. Back here I've got some steam dynamos. These I've had down here forever. Probably since before I finished digging out the basement, really. So they're being resupplied with charcoal. They've got, let's see, they've got 2 upgrades that increase the fuel energy and 1 that doubles their energy production at the cost of some fuel efficiency. And all 5 of them are like that. I think they produce something like 800 RF per tick maximum, but they're not used anymore. They are still connected, and they would actually fire up if my capacitor bank over there got drained, but that's not likely to happen, as you may have seen earlier, but I did not point out. And no, I'm not actually talking about this generator. So over here we got some more crafting. You can see I've got a lot of inscribers, so these are for making the printed circuits these for, and I'm sorry about the crazy mouse movements. I can't control it. This is for actually making the processors. I will, if I'm not feeling extremely lazy, and I probably will, I might insert some annotations along with the preview clips up in the corner to link you to the original videos, so if you don't know how something works, you can look at it in greater detail. But I can't make any promises that I will remember. Here I've got a presser from Harvestcraft. This makes soy milk and both kinds of tofu, so that can be auto-crafted. Pulverizer and redstone furnace are for automatic ore processing. It automatically sends ores to these, as well as the pulverizer will automatically send whatever it pulverizes to the furnace. This is a turbine generator from the Advanced Generators mod. This is a pretty cool setup. It runs on liquid fuels, so for example, fuel from Buildcraft. I think you can put oil in it as well, but it would be best to refine it anyway. Ethanol, which I currently can't produce because something is bugged either in my world or forestry. I need to downgrade it, I guess. But this turbine generator is actually very fuel efficient. As we can see if I were to put in fuel here, well, it's actually only showing the turbine generator there. I thought it showed more than that. But the turbine generator does actually produce a little bit more energy per bucket of most of these kinds of fuels. So it's a pretty good investment, and you can customize the fuel and energy storage, as well as the more turbines you put on it, the larger the energy produced. So currently with 20 turbines, I can produce 200 Minecraft joules or 2000 RF per tick maximum. I've got a big capacitor bank here. This is most of the capacitor banks in my base. I've got one more somewhere else. As you can see here, I got 55 million RF storage. Not a lot really, but it's good enough, and I've actually got some more storage in another form, which I will show off in a little bit. Got a dimensional transceiver for sending power to far off places, and it's capable of receiving items and fluids. And this little contraption up here is for refilling my jetpack. Just have to take it off, put it in the hydrogen tank in the top slot, and that will fill it up. Over here I've got a little tunnel that goes to the tree farm. This was originally meant to produce ethanol, and the original setup, if you're looking at this sample video right now, or sample, is that the right word? I don't know. If you're looking at that right now, you'll notice it's probably very different, because at first when I built it, it made my game practically unplayable frame rate wise. Worse than it is now. So I tore it all apart. I wasn't sure if it had something to do with the blocks that I was using, or if that's just because it was before I installed Fastcraft, probably the latter one. But I rebuilt it using these Ender IO conduits mostly. Still got the relocators. I could have replaced those, but I don't think they cause much of a problem. And as I said before, the stills are currently not working. They just sit here. They receive biomass, but they don't do anything. And here's the other capacitor bank. It's just here to limit the amount of power that these machines get, which I almost wonder if maybe that's why the stills aren't working now. Surely that wouldn't be the case. Are you kidding me? Seriously. I think they might be working now. Wait, where's that ethanol going? No. Get rid of that. Okay, well now we're making ethanol now. Huh. Well, that was stupid. It was just starved for power. That's strange. That only started after I updated Forestry. Well, now we know. I wonder if maybe someone told me that in the comments. I haven't released a previous episode yet. Okay, and another thing I actually changed after the first time I built the tree farm is I made it much smaller, as you might be able to guess. So it's not chopping down trees as often. Okay, we are just about done here. Let's go on to the second basement. This is the last floor of my base. Not much here, really, if I could learn to control my mouse. I've got a tank where I have ethanol right now. Originally, this was oil and fuel, as you could probably guess by the refinery, but I ran out while I was trapped in the Twilight Forest. And it hasn't gone through ethanol that much. I think it was at like 609 buckets when I logged off last night, so not using that much power, mostly because something else is powering my base. This is biofuel that I'm making from a new farm that I built recently. It is incredibly slow. I don't think it's worth keeping as it is, because this was at 80 or 90 buckets last night and it's only produced 30. That's not very good. This room, I was originally going to make a room for a blaze spawner with the Ender IO powered spawner, and I tore it out because of something else I did, which I'll get to in a minute, and some Endermen were playing around in this room. This was when I was still running this as a single player world, and in order to keep it running I had to stay logged in, so I guess some Endermen came down here and started messing around, and they had dirt blocks all over the place here, which I'm probably showing in the corner right now if I was able to find it. And finally, we've got this hole here, which was part of a very elaborate, well, I don't know if it was really that elaborate, but a little sketch, I guess you could call it, where I was tricked and dumped into the Twilight, trapped there by this weirdo called the Crimson Creeper, and he's still out there somewhere. Him and his communist creeper army. I know they're there. I see his minions every once in a while. They don't come around my base because they're too scared of me, but they are out there in the world. So finally, this is the farm that's producing the biofuel. It is a gigantic wheat farm. I've got sprinklers, and no way of piping bone meal into them automatically. I'm sure that there is a way, but I don't have a way to get tons of bone meal anyway. And whoa, behave, mouse. So I've got an MFR planter and harvester, pretty similar to the tree farm. Got a sludge boiler down there that's doing its job. And it is harvesting the wheat, and any excess seeds it sends straight into this bioreactor to turn into biofuel. Any excess wheat gets sag milled into seeds and again turned into biofuel, and it is not producing nearly enough to power a base, really. So this is not the way to produce MFR biofuel. I don't think. There must be a better way. Okay, is that really everything that there is? Let me think. Oh, there is one more thing. Something that I've been working on. I've got an array of solar panels here. This is from the Solar Flux mod. It's a pretty new mod, but I like it. It produces something, or adds something kind of like compact solars to, but they produce RF instead of Industrialcraft EU. And these are all the tier 4 ones. They produce a maximum of 256 RF apiece, but they're a little slow right now because it's becoming nighttime. And they store 4 million RF apiece as well. And I honestly think this mod might need a little bit of balancing. I've actually got auto crafting for these solar panels, and let me show you what one cost. Well, we need 739 glass, apparently. That's kind of an odd number. Okay. 160 wood, 170 redstone. I guess that's... well, it's not really a lot. 5 blocks of redstone, 16 gold, 15 copper, 20 tin, 20 lead, 9 electrum, 8 invar, 244 iron, which I've got probably 8,000 of, I don't know. And planks are being crafted from the wood. 54 lapis, so really it's not that expensive in terms of overall material costs. So I wonder how many of these I could tell it to make at once. If I told it to make 4, it would actually be able to store that. Do I have the materials? I would actually have the materials to do that, so I'm going to do it just for the heck of it. Let's add 4 more solar panels, because why not? So it's going to put it in here, and you can see it is using the glass to make these mirrors, which are one of the main things needed to craft the tier 1 solar panels. So really not that expensive. I guess 640 redstone is a lot, but let me see how much I actually have. Redstone, I have 2,700 left. It's actually a little bit low, I guess. Oh, I've actually gone through a lot of iron. I'm down to 3,700. And that's an iron tank wall, not a block. So that'll take a while to make those solar panels. Most of it's crafting the tier 1 solar panels, so it takes so long. Over here I've got bees, which I guess I didn't show. These I haven't really messed with too much. I've got commons and I've got cultivateds, and I stopped automating them because the chests are full. Alright, I think that might be all there is to show. I've got these fish traps here, nothing too impressive. They are... I don't know why sorting this chest does not work. Either way, I don't have a use for that much fish, or any of the special drops, really. So I think that's all for this episode. Hopefully it turned out pretty good. I won't know for sure until I've edited it. For me, one of the big points of it is to show off clips from the previous video, which is something I started in the last world tour I did. So hopefully someone enjoyed this video. It's I think I'm the main person who's entertained by the world tours. I don't know if that's true or not. So as always, don't forget, if you're not already subscribed, don't forget you can do that on your way out. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.